an altcoin. They will take more than half in the divorce. I promise you that. So look to see which ones are doing well against the blue chips, and that I think is what I would ultimately look for. And again, like there are some already that are doing that. I think that I have sort of a wall up against those, just being honest, because I my conviction in sort of Bitcoin market cap or market share going higher kind of keeps me away from everything else, because I just think it's a lot less risk. And at this point, I don't like taking on a lot of risk. And I think Bitcoin, it's funny because in crypto, they're like, oh, well, if you're only willing to hold Bitcoin, you're super risk averse. But basically throughout the entire rest of the world, being in Bitcoin would be seen as being super risky.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of in this small little world, it's seen as being really risk averse. So I would just look to see which ones are holding their lows against Bitcoin. Like last cycle, it was like you could see that like Link Bitcoin was doing well. You could see that ADA Bitcoin was doing well last cycle, and those are the ones that ended up doing well on their USD pairs. About a year later or so. So I would just look to the Bitcoin pairs.
Hey, just to follow up real quick, how far back do you look for these Bitcoin pairs for like bleeding against Bitcoin? Are you looking for 6 months, a year, 2 years, or you just kind of play it by ear?
Yeah, I mean, even just a few months, really, yeah. Like I think even if it's just a few months and it's holding it, especially if Bitcoin's dropping. If Bitcoin's dropping and they're holding their lows, that's an even better sign. At least that was like a better sign last cycle. So yeah.
Ben, you brought up a good point, which is this: those have not hit their all-time highs. I mean, even Solana, as hot as it went down. Because what was the top of Solana? 260 somewhere, 250?
Yeah, it was still like almost twice the current price, I think.
Yeah, and it went, and that's the thing. Like when we take a look at these alts, we take a look at it and go, well, it hasn't hit its all-time high, which is true. But it's one of those things we got to remember. Like Bitcoin took a tumble. I think it dropped 77% from its all-time high of 69,000 down to 15.7. But then if we take a look at the alts like Solana, you're talking like 90, 93%, 95, 99% for ICP and stuff like that. So if you were brave enough to go into the slums and pick those up when nobody wanted to, you're living high right now. But you had to actually get those at that point. And like we talk about as far as risk, people don't want to take that much risk. So if you want to, like save your mental health, it would have just been easy. It would have just been easier just to go into Bitcoin and kind of stay with it for a while. But this next cycle, just like we saw in the last one in 2021, when no one knew what Solana was. And then Luna came out of nowhere, and of course it crashed. Decentraland, a host of other ones that are escaping me right now in this Goldilocks time frame, which is right before the halving, during the halving, and like 2 or 3 months afterwards, is a Goldilocks period. Like maybe this next